All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I teased yesterday when I was doing the chip lens review of the Viltrox 28 that I had purchased a camera to replace my X-M5. Now, I guess I want to address what happened with that camera real fast. Because, I don't know, maybe I'm unlucky. I've had 4 cameras now, where I've had issues. I had a D780 where the battery hold down spring broke. I get made fun of by my friends because they don't think that actually happened. They call it just gas. The spring broke. I had a Fuji X-T50 when they first came out where I kept getting memory card errors. That was an issue. There might be 1 or 2 other things that came along the way. But this Fuji X-M5 that I received is probably like 4th or 5th camera of the probably 70 that I've owned where I've had like an issue out of the box. The X-M5 that I had has the film simulation dial on top, and for some reason that film simulation dial just stopped working. I tried doing a hard reset with it. I tried looking up things on forums. It just didn't work, and so I sent the camera back to Best Buy. Unfortunately, they still charged me a restocking fee because they wanted me to go back to Fuji with it for repair, and I just was like, no, I'm not doing that. Because it would sit there. Oh, I take that back. It would go to the Geek Squad, sit there for 2 weeks. They would tell me it's probably broken, and then they would eventually say, well, here's your new. I didn't want to go through all that. So I took whatever the restocking fee on $800, whatever that camera cost is, I took that hit, which is probably stupid, but I did do it. But I got it with something. I got something else to replace it, and I got to tell you guys, way happier with it. And this is the Fujifilm X-T50 in charcoal edition. So I've only had this for a couple days, so this is definitely a first impressions. But I want to tell you right away, there's like 4 or 5 things that are significantly better than the X-M5. And I would even say should give you pause if you're going to buy the X-T5. Not to say it's better, but things to consider when you're doing this. So this is the Fuji X-T50. As I mentioned, I have that pancake lens on it right now. You guys see the little chip lens right there. And it makes it a very small, pocketable, legit, definitely jacket pocketable camera. Now, it's not Ricoh size, but it is very, very, very small and inconspicuous, and I absolutely love it. Now, whether you like this lens or not is up for debate, but you can replace this with the 27mm f2.8 Fuji lens or the TT Artisan lens, or maybe even the 18 f2 would be a great fit for this. But the point is you can put a pancake lens on this, and it becomes a very interesting option. What strikes me right away with this camera compared to other XT-XX cameras I've had in the past, like the X-T20s and X-T30 and the X-T30 Mark II, is this one feels significantly better built. The top plate feels more robust. The materials on the grip feel better. Overall, the grip itself is a huge difference. It feels actually somewhat comfortable to hold. I don't have huge hands, but I don't have small hands. I'd say probably somewhere in the middle. And this feels okay. Whereas with prior XT cameras, or certainly the XM or XE cameras, like the XE4 I should say, you kind of have to add a grip to it. So that's really, really good. Overall, the build quality feels amazing, and the grip feels great. And just them doing simple stuff like rounding this edge is excellent. The other thing I do like about this is that, compared to the XM5, this has the focus selector right there, which is really cool because I do like to quickly kind of go from continuous to single focus to manual. Typically it stays on continuous. I use wide tracking, but whatever. And additionally, this X-T50 has the IBIS unit in it, which can make a big difference, and it has the 40 megapixel sensor. The 40 megapixel sensor, it can be argued. I like the 26 as well. I like the 16 back in the first generation Fuji cameras, but I do think this 40 megapixel camera sensor does have more detail and a bit more to offer than the older sensors. Although, again, back to my comment yesterday, image quality versus quality image. I'll take a quality image all day over 24 megapixels versus 40 versus 26. It doesn't matter. The other thing I really enjoy about this is, when you have something this small, it's almost like a, kind of point and shoot-esque, if you will, right? You still have the flash built in. So this flash right here is really cool because, especially with a chip lens like this, f4.5 is a constant aperture, you could offset some of those light issues, light concerns that you might have with something like this. So the flash on top is a big plus for me. The other big plus is that this has the exposure compensation wheel on top. So that's really good, and this one feels nice and firm. I like that. The buttons feel better on this than compared to prior XT cameras, I think anyways. Feel a little better, even compared to the XM camera. You know, this X-T50 has these buttons back here that are flat or more flush to the body. They just seem to click a little better, in my opinion. So I don't know, maybe it's like new camera syndrome, or maybe my X-M5 was kind of defunct, but everything else, this to me feels much better, and I really like that. You know, I'm a big fan of the Fuji wheels up front that are clickable. So if you guys know or not, like these wheels up front are clickable to go through things. On this camera, the front and the rear dials are clickable. I'm recording on XH2, which, by the way, it's not going to stick around. Those wheels are not clickable, and they did that for weather sealing, but I like having the option to cycle through different controls, and it makes it really interesting. How about some negative things, though, about this so far? Well, I haven't really put it to the test yet, but it does have the smaller battery, which it kind of has to accommodate its size. So this is just the tiny little guy right here, this thing. So that's not as ideal as maybe an X-T5. So that's not great. Its body is not weather sealed. Candidly, I've never had an issue with weather sealing on any camera yet, except when I dropped my Olympus on top of some dog poop, and I washed it under the sink and scrubbed it, and it was fine. So I guess in that case, weather sealing did matter to me. But generally, I don't really leave my cameras out in the rain. I do use them a lot. And honestly, this is covered by a Best Buy warranty. I have their total protection plan. If it breaks, it's not I didn't get a new one. Is what it is. Excuse me. The other downside to this is, well, it depends how you look at it, right? Is the glass half empty or glass half full? This has an EVF compared to the X-M5. That's great. The glass is half full. Compared to the EVF on an XH2 or even an X-T5, not great. The magnification's smaller, less resolution, but in practice it works. And so I'm pretty okay with that. Other than that, what I do enjoy is that now it has a proper 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So if I can get this to focus like this, that's great. I think the prior ones had an adapter. And then what they do is with the USB-C port that's in here, they give an adapter for headphones as well. So if you wanted to be able to monitor your audio, which I never do, and have a microphone in there, you could do that. The buffer seems good so far. I fired off a bunch of shots. It hung on pretty good, so that was cool. And overall, I would just say I'm really impressed, first impressions, with this X-T50. And you got to think, for the price only being a few $100s than a brand new X-T5, it better be impressive. And the question for you is, if you're considering something, do you value the small portable size of an X-T50 with still the same autofocus processor, sensor, IBIS, all that? And are you willing to sacrifice the bigger battery, the weather sealing, the dual card slots, the better EVF? Do you prefer having a flash built in, or you don't care about that? That's kind of the trade-off here. I'll be honest. I thought about going back to an X-T5, but I've had it 2 or 3 times already. And I just know that size wins for me all the time. And so let's do a couple try-on real quick. So this is obviously, let me see if I can turn face and eye detection off. It has to be off. The camera has to be off to switch eye detection off. The problem is when I show you something, it always grabs part of my face. The new Fuji Focus autofocus update is really sticky, so it doesn't want to lose my face. But if I do this, it's much better. So that's what we'll do. Okay, so this is right here with the little chip Viltrox lens on it. The 28mm f4.5. You see the side profile. It's real small, real skinny. Okay, so let's take that off. Let's go to something slightly bigger. Let's say you're a fan of the Fuji Crons. So this is the 23mm f2. This is what it looks like with the 23 f2 on it. Look right here. It actually makes the 23 look pretty big. And this is without the lens hood on. If I put put the built-in lens hood on. If I know how to do this. There it goes. A little bit bigger. So this is what it looks like with the 23 f2. This is really a great walk around vacation setup. 35 millimeters is really solid, so that's really good. Let's go to something else. Hold on. All right. This is the Viltrox 56 millimeter 1.7. I bought this with my own money. It's cheap. It's a smaller lens. You guys see right here. That's what it looks like. Let's put this on the X-T50. So here you have like a 85 millimeter equivalent, 1.7 lens. Take this lens hood off, lens cap off. Pretty small. Very, very pocketable, not pocketable, but jacket pocketable. It's small footprint. So if you combine something like the 23 f2 and this 56 1.7, you basically have the same footprint. You got a 35 and 85 equivalent. This is a great two lens prime combo that I think would be really interesting. So that's the 56. Let's go with something bigger. And I would say up to this point, everything feels great in hand. No issue with size whatsoever. Let's go to the big dog, the 33 1.4. This guy right here. Now this is where it starts to feel a little tippy in the hands. And where maybe if you're going to shoot something like this, you're going to maybe want to put something like a grip on. I mean, it's definitely still manageable. It's definitely still manageable, especially if you're going to two-hand it. Like, this feels great. If you're going to try to one-hand it, it's a little bit tippy. So it gets a little bit interesting there. But the beauty of like the X-T50 or X-T XX series cameras is that you can go from something small, jacket, pocketable, portable, and then you can also go to something bigger by adding a grip or whatever to it to support bigger lenses. So this is what it looks like with the 33 1.4 on it. All right, one more lens for you, the big dog, the 75 millimeter f1.2. So take the cap off. I'll take the lens hood off because it's kind of crazy. I've been using this lens for sports with my kids because if you're at an indoor like hockey rink or a gymnastics, 75 millimeters is equivalent to like 112 millimeters. It's pretty good, and f1.2 is fast. This is a big setup right here. The lens dwarfs the body, and it's definitely very tippy. Again, I'm already naturally holding it from the lens base to kind of compensate for that. If you're going to shoot, you're going to want to be like this. But again, ergonomically, it doesn't feel bad. It really doesn't. I would say it doesn't even feel that much different than my X-T5 when I had it. It's something like this on there. So this is not bad, guys. Honestly, I probably would want to buy a screen protector for the back, an extra battery. I might buy like a leather half case just to kind of give it a little bit extra if I want to and protect the bottom and go from there. But this is what the X-T50 looks like, going on everything from a little pancake chip lens like this to something like the 23 millimeter f2 right here, going up to something that's an 85 equivalent, the Viltrox 56 1.7. Then something more pro, where you got the 33 millimeter 1.4, and then this 75 millimeter 1.2. So this camera is what I bought to replace the X-M5. Yes, it's more expensive, but for me, it's worth it to get some of those additional features and still have some of that portability that I was looking for. You might be asking yourself, there's one feature you always talk about, Eric, that's missing, and that is the flip screen. And you're absolutely right. And I have something for that as well. I've got a really good deal potentially coming here today, and I'll bring that up to you in a future video. So thank you for watching. I know I've been rambling a little bit on this, but appreciate your time. And I would say that my first impressions of the X-T50 are very positive, and it seems like a pretty big upgrade in terms of overall build quality from prior X-T cameras, although none of them really felt bad to me. This X-T50 feels pretty good. So thanks for watching. See you guys. Have a great weekend. See you in a couple days.